This is an NBC News special report.
Good day. We are coming on the air with significant breaking news and a critical moment in the presidential race. NBC News has learned President Biden will step aside as the presumptive Democratic nominee. He will suspend his bid for a second term.
And let's get back to our Local 10 News reporter Samir Nefsi, who is standing by Miami International Airport, where Florida Republican Congressman Carlos Jimenez just spoke to the media.
Samir, what did he have to say, especially in the wake of this bombshell announcement from President Biden?
Let's first go to our Tom Fitzgerald outside the White House tonight, where folks are expected to gather later this evening to give their thanks to President Biden. But Fitz, you've been on the phone with Democratic members of Congress already this evening. What are you hearing from them?
Well, by and large, they're already
officially become a historic run. It went from a rerun between a cadaver and a convict, and then overnight, there are decades where nothing happens, and then there are weeks where decades happen. We are in the week where decades are happening. We are now officially.
President Biden's decision to end his campaign for re-election is unprecedented in many ways, but the path from one president to another and from one nominee to another has not always been a straight line. To talk about how this moment fits into this country's historical context, joined by our very own Judy Woodruff. Judy,
All right, guys, it finally happened. We got huge news. It's official. Joe Biden has dropped out of the 2024 presidential election. He's done with his campaign. He's stepping down. Now, he's not stepping down as president of the United States. He's going to finish his term as president of the United States, but he is officially suspending his campaign and not.
Alrighty, folks, so breaking news, huge news. Joe Biden is out. He has now announced he is out. I was doubtful, I'll be honest with you, because he's a very stubborn man, and he does not like being pushed out. But with the new polls that have emerged over the weekend showing him...
We have absolutely huge breaking news. President Joe Biden has announced that he is dropping out of the presidential race, having just released a statement saying, "My fellow Americans, over the past 3.5 years, we have made great progress as a nation. Today, America has the strongest economy in the world. We've made historic investments in rebuilding our nation, in lowering..."
The most unhappy people in America right now are Donald Trump, his campaign, and his supporters. They were salivating at the opportunity to run against 81-year-olds. The most unhappy people.
Department. No. Stephanie, you ready?
Going around their business is them being group stalked by like everyone else around the world. And that's, you know, what's going on, where you read, as a politician, you read statements of anything on the internet and assume it's kind of efforts to personally kill you.
right. Yeah. So usually what the stochastics here,
proud. This is interesting because it also means that, yes, she is indeed adopting Joe Biden's platform. Like the reforms that Joe Biden has talked about over the last few days are going to be done under Kamala Harris.
President Joe Biden is no longer running for re-election. He made the announcement on Twitter. I'm going to read his statement, and then we can discuss.
Wow. Okay. So tried to go live on the channel. There's something up with the permissions, but I know Sam went live, so I'm uploading this directly to you guys because glory, glory, hallelujah, Biden has dropped out of the race. This was on the heels of devastating.
Robert Costa is here. Robert?
I've been texting and speaking with members of the inner circle of Vice President Harris. She is now perhaps the most important political figure in the United States, the assumed Democratic nominee, the first female to serve as the Democratic presidential nominee since Secretary Hillary Clinton in
I want to do like an alternative history thing, but I mean, Hillary won the popular vote, and that election was real close. And Joe Biden did not have the same baggage that Hillary did. But then again,
it's a historical moment. Joe Biden is not going to be the Democratic presidential nominee. He's out of the race, and there's two big reasons for this. The first was his debate performance against Donald Trump. He showed his full 81 years. He stammered.
Nominee in 2020. It was stupid for the Democrats and corporate media to smile like, we're going to eat this shite sandwich and just smile along. So, folks, just imagine, for the last 3.5 years, you were seeing serious politicians, reporters, journalists, actors, actresses.
Now I'd like to bring in my colleague, senior congressional correspondent Chad Pergram. Chad, your reaction to this earthquake in American politics, and what are you picking up from top lawmakers on the Hill?
Well, you know, I was told the morning after the debate by a senior House Democratic source, and the quote was, "This was unsustainable." And
tonight at 11, Ohio senator is breaking his silence. Senator Sherrod Brown has kept quiet on President Biden's fitness for office.
CBS News is doing a lot of reporting, and I want to make sure we get to all of the new information that is just coming in. Robert Costa, I know you have something new you want to share with us.
Yes, so sources close to several of the people who might be considered possible challengers to Vice President Harris for the nomination, people close to California.
But I have a Twitter alt. Do you have any idea how much I hate Twitter? Why would I make a second account so I can use Twitter more? Awful. Horrible. Biden had a dementia.
Correspondent Selena Wang. Selena has been traveling with the president in Delaware. She's been following the reaction that has been coming in and also learning more about just how quickly this decision was made from the president. Selena, just give us an understanding on where the president is now, how quickly he plans to return to Washington.
With the capping of drug prices in Medicare, but foreign policy, though Donald Trump tries to take credit for this, you know, upon the Russian invasion of Ukraine, it was Joe Biden who pushed Europe to really become not just a talking shop in NATO, but actually a capable military operation. And while I've had my frustration,
they don't actually worry about doing the right thing, and so everybody's just worried about like who they can, you know, point the finger at, and not actually protecting the president, not actually getting to the right result. And they're just so dysfunctional. They're dysfunctional within the Secret Service. They're dysfunctional within the State Department. They're dysfunctional within the intelligence community. We know that.
Thank you. And as we look at pictures of Kamala Harris there on your screen, Niall Stanage is back with me. And it's noticeable how, even as we speak, attention seems to be switching very quickly from Joe Biden to Kamala Harris, and a lot of conversations about Kamala Harris.
With Kamala Harris. There's a real problem with Kamala Harris. And I think they probably would have a better shot running Gretchen Whitmer or Josh Shapiro. Now, the reason why it's going to be problematic is all the internal Democratic Party politics. And potentially there may be identity politics issues too. I mean, people worry that
generous, prosperous, and united America that provides opportunity for everyone will be on full display at the Democratic National Convention in August. And the Prime Minister is reacting to the big news in just the last few minutes, taking to the social media platform.
We have
have breaking news here. President Biden has announced he will stand down from the race. I'm going to read the statement here on my phone. We also have Tim Miller, who's going to be joining us shortly. My fellow Americans, over the past 3.5 years, we have made great progress as a nation.
We have the delegates planning to vote in a virtual roll call the first week of August. And of course, in mid-August is the Democrats' National Convention. So all of this really putting a spotlight on that tight timeline. And all of this really began with that poor debate performance.
What up, world? It's Josh Johnson, full-time daily.
We begin this hour with major breaking news. President Joe Biden has just announced that he is dropping out of the 2024 presidential race. In a stunning letter that was just released moments ago by his campaign on X, formerly known as Twitter, Biden wrote, quote, that it has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president and
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox, and we have some breaking news as President Joe Biden has just announced that he is dropping out of the 2024 presidential race. This happening just moments ago. You are taking a look at the letter that he has just issued, and we are going to read it in its entirety. It says, "My fellow Americans."
New reporting about conversations between President Biden and Vice President Harris. I want to go back to CNN's Priscilla Alvarez, who is covering all of this from Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. Priscilla, what are you learning?
Standing, screaming, cheering. He may not get a chance to talk for 10 minutes. We finally get a chance to put our arm around this guy. He did the right thing for this country. He did the right thing for this party. All of us are going to be in this situation someday, and I hope that we
want to get to CNN anchor Caitlin Collins in New York. Caitlin, you have some exclusive reaction from the former president and Biden's rival in this race, Donald Trump.
Yeah, Alex, I spoke with former President Trump minutes after President Biden tweeted that he is that he is exiting the 2024.
And it is now 3:30 on the East Coast. And just to update everyone who is just joining us, President Biden has made the decision to drop out of the 2024 presidential contest. This happened at about 1. CBS News is doing a lot of reporting, and I want to make sure we get to all of the new information that is just coming in. Robert Costa, I know you have something new you want to share with us.
Yes, so sources close to several of the people who might be considered possible challengers to Vice President Harris for the.
I'm in this to complete the job I started.
But despite his best efforts, the pressure growing. Soon, top Democrats, even allies and close friends, pushing him to exit the race.
I do not think he is the best person to go into this election.
Didn't have a race for re-election. So I'm going to read a letter that Biden wrote that he had just posted that explains everything.
Just a few days ago, saying exactly that. So what are your views about what Joe Biden has done?
Well, first, I'm grateful to him. He put his country and his party first, as he's always done. So hat tip to him. I wish he'd done it a week ago or 10 days ago when I said it was certain that he would have to do so. Would have given us a little more time before.
CBS News and Frank Biden, unclear how much input he had in this decision, but he says that he believes that his brother's health did play a role, and he says that the goal remains the same to defeat.
And maybe would potentially vote for Donald Trump in the election. So how much sort of damage control needs to be done now, and how quickly does that need?
She's a lawyer, like Anthony, right? The question is she going to be able to take the big reach to become somebody who can become a better retail politician? And can she become someone who can reach into areas that go well beyond her background, which was her background for 20, 30 years?
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox, and we have some breaking news as President Joe Biden has just announced that he is dropping out of the 2024 presidential race. This happening just moments ago. You are taking a look.
Today, America has the strongest economy in the world. We've made historic investments in rebuilding our nation, in lowering prescription drug costs for seniors, and in expanding affordable health care to a record.
We have the delegates planning to vote in a virtual roll call the first week of August. And of course, in mid-August is the Democrats' national.
We begin this hour with major.
Just this morning, Biden's campaign chair says that the president is absolutely staying in the race. But despite all that, we have new reporting this hour that things could be changing. More Democrats are publicly calling for him to abandon the race. And behind closed doors, senior aides are telling CNN that there is a growing belief that he might quit soon. Of the ad, I want to play it for you, get your reaction on the other side.
President Biden, you saved democracy in 2020.
Now you have a chance to do it again.
It's time to pass the torch and let us choose a new nominee.
One who can bring new energy, new hope,
and make sure Donald Trump never gets near the White House again.
Our country's future is in your hands.
So please, be the leader we know you are. Pass the torch, Joe.
Pass the torch. Pass the torch.
Pass the torch.
Pass the Torch is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Congressman, I mean, what about that sentiment in the Democratic Party? It is there.
Jim, our president has said innumerable times he is staying in the race. I invite the folks raising money for ads like that and folks spending time on producing ads like that to join us and making sure that Donald Trump doesn't get into the White House.
My fellow Americans, over the past 3.5 years, we've made great progress as a nation. Today, America has its strongest economy in the world. We made some historic investments in rebuilding our nation, in lowering prescription drug costs for seniors, and in expanding affordable health care.
And, you know, about the news, just heard this afternoon that President Biden decided not to contest this elections. Looks like it was brewing, long time. On the media, on the Twitter, social media, they were saying.
All right, everybody, we have some absolutely massive breaking news, which is that much anticipated or speculated about President Joe Biden is stepping back from being the Democratic nominee, withdrawing from the 2024 race. He will.
We're going to be looking at other movements in the future that build up. So don't think it's a kind of a reversion to normal if Trump sort of exhausts himself in terms of political efficacy.
Yeah, so we asked him point blank if he was surprised. In all honesty, he said no, he wasn't. He said there have, of course, been some rumbling.
The economy is worse off now. It's not that, he can't be president of the United States now. But this is the job, not for now, but for the next 4 years. And I think that's where he lost a lot of people.
LZ Grandison starts his column that just released on.
It's Jover. It's Jover. I told you all it was Jover. I said it was Jover weeks ago. I said it was Jover years ago. It's motherfucking Jover. So here we have Joseph R. R stands for Robinette.
Until they figure shit out. You cannot run a race under those circumstances. And he's gone, but we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. Russell, you had a nice day at sea today.
I am just relieved we don't have to hire Miss Cleo.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Because if he had been wrong, we were talking to...
And with the news of Biden dropping out, Democratic Party offices and voters wait to see who their next candidate will be. Our local party chair already naming the best next fit. Aaron Garner spoke with the chair of the Democratic Party in Wichita County and on the matter. And Aaron, what did you find out?
Well, Dylan, the first thing I found out is that this is an unprecedented
but also other party leaders lining up behind her. Tonight, she is now running very much in this race to win it, David.
She says she wants to earn and win this nomination. In the meantime, Mary, one more question for you before we move on. Vice President Harris has faced a unique challenge in these past couple of very difficult weeks politically on the campaign trail for the Biden-Harris campaign out there to.
Although we know Vice President Harris is the new favorite for the presidential nomination, such a historic event has caused some confusion over the steps actually needed to select a new nominee. Adiande Till with our National Verified team looks into the selection process about to play out at the Democratic National Convention in just a couple of weeks.
The news of President Biden dropping out of the race leaves a lot of questions for what's next.
And this as preparations are underway for the Democratic National Convention here in Chicago next month. ABC 7 political reporter Craig Wall and political analyst Laura Washington are joining us in the studio.
To unite the Democratic Party and defeat Donald Trump, Harris is clearly already hitting the ground running. David?
And Selena, in the meantime, I know you're there in Rehoboth.
Again, this is all assuming she ends up at the top there and becomes the presumptive and then official nominee for the Democratic Party. She is already from the West Coast. She's already from California. She's already got the support of a number of progressives. We have seen that today already with
ABC's editorial producer, John Santucci. John, on the other end of this, you have former President Donald Trump's campaign. The former president is just after surviving this attempted assassination on his been back out on the campaign trail. And the Trump campaign has been notably a little bit.
This is just coming across on social media right now, breaking news, and will address the country later this week about next steps. He intends to fulfill the remainder of his term. Kristen, your reaction to this bombshell news?
And it's from him on.
I was just told in my ear, and that's what's breaking on the wires right now.
I think, you know, I think it's an enormous opportunity for our party, and I
expect him to do later on this week once he recovers from COVID, Lester. But obviously, this is a major, major moment in this campaign. It just upends it altogether at this moment. We do have some polling showing that Kamala Harris, maybe she does just as well or perhaps slightly better than President Biden against former President Trump. But let's be clear here. We don't have a lot of clarity.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox, and we have some breaking news as President Joe Biden has just announced that he is dropping out of the 2024 presidential race. This happening just moments ago. You are taking a look at the letter.
President Joe Biden has decided to drop out of the 2024 race for the White House on Sunday, just a short time ago, releasing a statement to the American people saying over the past 3.5 years, we have made great progress as a nation with the strongest.
And as the conversation about the vice president continues and we ask the question of what's next and how are things being put together here, the political arm of the Congressional Black Caucus just made it official and is now endorsing her. That gives you a sense of how things are coalescing quite quickly. Earlier this hour, Emily's List, which of course is the organization.
You're watching BBC News. Some breaking news from the United States, where President Joe Biden has said that he is going to stand down from the presidential race and not seek re-election to the White House in November. He has said that he will step aside as a candidate and he will focus on fulfilling his duties as president.
Jonathan, I want to go behind the scenes at the White House. There has been so much pressure building. Why now?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to Ron Klain, the former chief of staff at the White House, just last week. He said that Biden was feeling the pressure. I think, and also said at the time that he wanted Biden.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're interrupting program for the CBS News special report. I'm Christine Johnson in New York. Another twist in what has already.
How much did they have to pay the Bidens, the DNC? What was his retirement package? What did Joe Biden, Hunter, what did they get? Because that's all this has been, you know, for a month or 2 months. It has been, what do we have to do to get you out of this race, Joe? Whatever they...
On the economy. Do you know what a Zionist is?
I just ask questions, I don't answer. President Biden, you're getting up there, man. 81 years old. You'll be 82 at the time of the inauguration if you're reelected, 86 at the end of that presidential term. Some people are concerned that maybe you shouldn't be in this race. Are you 100% undoubtedly running for reelection?
1,000%.
1,000%. Why?
I got to finish the job. Look, for the longest time, I was either told I was too young because I got elected to the Senate, as the second youngest man in the history of the Senate to get elected, and that I'm too old. But what hopefully I've demonstrated with age comes a little wisdom. I've gotten, I'm presumptuous to say this, but I've gotten more done than almost any president has in one.